This program is brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana. A national budget that experts have dubbed a stimulus budget, following an announcement highlighting a 41% increase from the current one. The 2024-25 national budget speech was delivered by the Minister of Finance and Economic Development, Honorable Peggy Serame, on the 5th of February. Amongst the key pinned points was the new Chema Chema Fund, seeded with 200 million pula. Much to the excitement of many, this initiative is expected to transform the informal sector. As is norm, the First National Bank of Botswana held its annual budget review seminar, which sees various industry experts and players convening to unpack the budget, its allocations and of course initiatives. Present at the engagement were the bank's CFO, Dr. Mbako Mbo, who spoke of FNB Botswana's commitment to supporting government in her aspirations during his welcome remarks.
We shall pursue a deep dive into the 2024 national budget, touching on the National Development Plan 12, NDP 12, and many other elements of the budget speech as articulated by the Minister yesterday, such as the much welcome increase in the budget allocation to sports development, creative arts, agriculture, research and development, as well as infrastructure development. As FNB, we believe that these are important areas of our economy. We should continue to support either through providing financing solutions, social investments, typically through our foundation, the FNBB Foundation, or transacting with the relevant partners with a shared value mindset. The concept of shared prosperity is a defining pillar of how we conduct business at FNB Botswana. Discussions around such topics should bring excitement. They are key to critical ideation that will lead Botswana to greater achievement as the nation aspires to ascend to high income status. The collaboration between the private sector, the academia, and the government in particular has added invaluable meaning to our budget review seminars for the past 30 years.
Also present was economist and managing director of eConsult, Dr. Keith Jeffries, whose task was to unpack the budget allocation, sustainability and development priorities.
I think this is, it's a high-stakes budget or a high-risk budget. It is aimed, of course, to be a stimulus budget and a transformative budget, providing the basis for diversified private sector-led growth. And certainly there are some things in there that will have those benefits. There's some useful economic infrastructure, roads, railways, bridges, border posts, etc., which will help economic efficiency, and the digital expenditure on digital transformation. But we have to bear in mind that a lot of the expensive infrastructure, it's social infrastructure, it's not economic infrastructure. So these are social projects. They're not going to generate much in the way of economic returns. Although it's meant to be transformative, I really wonder if it is a break from our old-style mineral and government-led growth model. I think there are some sustainability risks, a huge increase in spending when the economic outlook is highly uncertain is, I think, risky. I would like to see faster fiscal consolidation. I think there's also a worry that we may be creating special interest groups with a vested interest in particular spending programs. I think there may be some funding risks, and I think the Bank of Botswana Monetary Policy Committee is probably scratching their heads because this is an inflationary budget. So what do they do with interest rates? Finally, I think if we're dealing with economic headwinds, we shouldn't get obsessed with the budget. Not everything is about the budget. There's a lot of important things related to policies, and I think by focusing on the budget, we can sometimes forget about policies. And I think there's some areas where policies actually need reforming rather than the budget. I think that cross-border trade, we have the African Continental Free Trade Area coming into effect, but we must make it easier to get stuff across borders, not more difficult, which is what we've been doing with bans and tightened permits, etc., etc. I think we need to encourage FDI rather than discourage it. We need to generally watch about, are we making too many new regulations? We have a new meat industry regulator, which is said to liberalize the industry, but often regulators like to make regulations, which can be the opposite of liberalization. We heard in the past about regulatory impact assessments, which would only introduce new regulations if they had net benefits. It's gone very quiet. But I think we need to make sure that new regulations only come in if it's clearly established that the costs are less than the benefits. Public sector projects, I've said this many times before, they need to be properly selected and prioritized. Spending money on badly selected and prioritized projects will not get you a big economic return. Avoiding the creation of new state monopolies. I haven't said much about climate change, adaptation and mitigation. I think much more needs to be said. Maybe I should have said more, and I think the budget should have said more. But I think generally we need to stick to the principle of an open and market-oriented and competitive economy. That should really be the theme of the policies that we introduce.
The event was also graced by Flowtech Managing Director Vijay Naik, Aruna Natural Foods Executive Director Fani Gwizi, who delivered on Botswana's export-led growth and attracting inward FDI.